Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the second episode of Money Lessons with me, Almi Cholan. Today we are talking about very important lessons that I usually start my Islamic finance courses with. So I tell my students, if you can understand this point, this principle, you can very easily understand the wisdom of Islamic finance. So the story goes like this. One day, father and son headed to the forest for a picnic. And as they were setting up their tent and their things, it started heavily to rain. Just in that moment, a group of their friends that they invited for the picnic arrived. Now, as it is customary practice, you would usually make some tea or a coffee for your guests. But since everything was wet due to the heavy rain, they couldn't make a fire. So father said to his son, "My dear boy, could you try your best and figure out some way to make a fire and cook us some tea so that we can welcome our dear guests?" Now, son, very loving, wanted to please his father so much. He went around, he looked through entire forest. He couldn't find anything dry to make a fire with. Then he remembered that in his father's tent, there is a box, metal box, that is waterproof. And inside that box, his father keeps the money. And what he knows about money is that money is made from paper, and paper is excellent fuel for the fire. So within a few minutes, he gathers all of that paper money and he starts the fire. Very quickly, he then cooks the tea and brings the tea to his father's amazement. Father is very proud and he is saying to his guest, "Look at my bright son. There is nothing dry around us, but he managed to cook us this wonderful tea." Now the question here for the students is usually, what do you think will father think after he discovers how his son cooked this tea? And what particularly is the problem here? What is the essence of the problem? And I'm not talking that this was very expensive tea. Burning money was very expensive. But I'm saying, what is the more fundamental, more essential type of mistakes that occurred here? Now, if you think about it, what son did was use the money in the way that money was not supposed to be used. We are not supposed to burn money. What we are supposed to do then? Well, we are supposed to use money to buy and sell something. So what's supposed to happen here was that son goes to the shop, he buys some wood or charcoal, something that burns, and then use that to make a fire, not the money. And if he did that, then the outcome, or a tea, or a profit, let's say, or outcome of any business transaction, is something that we all desire. We want profit, we want outcome, we want tea. So the problem is not the tea. The problem is how we arrive to that end result. And so what we did here was use the things in opposition to what their intended purpose is. So we misuse the money and we misuse the asset. So what Islam wants, or what Islamic finance wants from us, is to use money for its intended purpose as a medium of exchange, for example, and use the assets for their right purpose. And so, in a sense, we are putting everything in its right place. And that is the essence of justice, is to put everything in correct order, in correct place. The essence of injustice is to take it out of that order. And so what Islamic finance teaches us is to put everything in correct order, to use money for its right purpose, to use the assets for its right purpose. What do we get as a result then? The profit is something that we all want to see, we want to enjoy it. And when you take this principle to the rest of economy, if we were using money in the right way, not as a commodities that we are burning, or as I would say, commodities that are being bought and sold, because money is definitely not something that you should be buying and selling for commercial gain. And if we are using everything else in real economy for the intended purposes, we would have a growth of a real economy. We would have focused on economy that is growing by benefiting other people. And we wouldn't have this financial economy growing like a cancer. The financial economy that is really disconnected from the real life. Economy where money is giving birth to the money. Money is burning, not just physically, but it's burning everybody else, because you see when the riba and interest is allowed, when that kind of gain is allowed from interest-based transactions, then it burns in the minds, burns the hearts, burns psychology. That's why you see people today, you see that many countries are suffering because of this. There is a poverty, there is an increase in interest rates, so much of what's supposed to go towards the people is going to paying these loans that are compounding and increasing by the day. And so I hope in this series of lessons, we will understand what is the right function of money and spot when we see these synthetic, fake, unnatural transactions. Join me in the next episode. Looking forward to see you. All the best. Salam alaikum.